Agenda West Chapter.
Guys, welcome to the episode Into the West Comics. My name is Frank.
Yeah, right it is.
What?
God bless you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
I don't know
I'm
what just
sorry.
happened.
I tried.
I'm over here like sending the link out and stuff, and these three are just yelling at each other before the show starts. I don't know what. Anyways, Frank, welcome to another episode.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
Anyways,
Donovan is here.
Hi, everyone. I promise to be very nice to people today on this show.
This week.
Oops.
okay, all right.
The hot dog Paul is here. He welcomed me.
I did.
I'm
I
welcoming
introduced
you.
Frank this week. How
You're welcome.
weird is that?
Thank you.
It was good.
And
Just licked my lips and licked at Jonathan.
I'm here.
The variant returns.
Excuse me. Bless me. Sorry.
we're entering a really strange place. Listen, guys.
Before we get started,
please
should we do a shout out to our boy Sonny?
Yes.
Yes.
He got
Hi,
the
Sonny.
vid. He got the vid, y'all. He got the codes of the vid. And Sonny, we love you, buddy. We miss you. We hope you and Lena are feeling better and getting plenty of rest. And we'll see you here hopefully next week. We love you, man. You're the best.
All accurate.
We hope that you're enjoying your Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah.
Full of vitamin C.
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh, that sounds so good.
listen.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
Earlier in the last couple of days, our brains exploded. We returned to Tatooine, and in particular, we returned to what's the town called? Mos Pelgo,
Yes.
Freetown. If you're reading some of the books back in the day that were based in Star Wars lore, they mentioned Freetown, and we get the first of like 47 appearances in this episode. It felt like nonstop, like every 10 minutes was like, oh, they're in there? Okay. But we get the return of Cobb Vanth, the Marshal.
The Marshal.
Um,
Timothy Oliphant.
that's just the beginning. But guys, what did you think of this episode? And I'm going to start with Sneezy,
Oh,
the variant.
I have to start. This episode is perfect,
Okay.
and there's only 2, maybe 3 things that even if they weren't there, this episode would still somehow get like a 9 on my rating. This episode's just so good.
What are those 2 or 3 things? I'm curious.
I think so. It's spoilers, right? We have to do that every week.
Yes.
But
Spoiler
we have
alert.
to talk about this episode.
I was gonna
We're
say,
not talking about every
There's a
character.
lot.
Listen, if
There's
you
a lot.
if you watch this show and there's a very big pop culture show that came out the night before, we're going to be talking about it today. So there's your spoiler warning for the rest of
Yeah.
life. Go ahead.
Luke being already, we see Luke right away, right? It's not like they're dancing around the bush. The Mando goes to this planet, and they're dancing around something. I don't know. Goes to this planet. They build a bench for him. He sits down, and then they're like, "All right, here's Luke with Grogu." Like just right away, super quick. Okay, I love Luke Skywalker. Okay, but
not
just
laughing
him,
about that. I was
him
laughing
being
about
put into
Din.
the Boba Fett show is one like small thing that I'm like, okay, I love Luke. Well, this is a Boba Fett show, and Boba Fett #2 makes a little cameo in his own show in this episode. He's only in for like 2 minutes in this episode.
I don't
only
even
see
think it's that long.
Boba
But yeah.
Fett, he like looks at the hologram. He's like, oh yes, hologram. Thanks, Fennec. and then that's it. Okay. And then the third thing is, I don't know the framing at the end and its importance of the Grogu question of you either choose the Jedi or you choose Mando, right? You have these two options. And I think these three things, they're not big things, they're just things that I can complain about. I'm allowed to complain about things that I'm just like, I don't know if like we needed Luke in the Boba Fett show. I think we needed more Boba Fett, but also we've had the last 4 episodes of Boba Fett. It was just kind of a lot, but it was awesome. It was a great episode. That's my piece. I'm being calm.
You are.
That was very
calm. That was good. You.
What is happening? All right. I agree with Jonathan. I really liked the episode. Quan is mad because I like Peacemaker more than the Book of Mandalorian. Shout out Sonny. I don't actually agree with that sentiment. I do think it's funny though. But it's been a lot of fun to watch all these characters from the kind of Disney Star Wars TV show universe coming together. And we're going to have this big final throwdown on Tatooine with all of the characters involved. And I think this show, I was talking about it in the chat with you guys, I think this show has done a really good job of showing Boba Fett's sphere of influence, how long his reach is, how many people he knows, how many people he can bring in to help defend and make Mos Espa stronger, and why he is the Daimo, however you pronounce it, of this town or area, and he's going to help make it stronger while making it more free and whatnot. To be honest, the only, for me in the entire show, the only real thing that I just really didn't enjoy was the episode where they did the moped speed chase with it was
the mods.
It just wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun. There was no I didn't care about the characters involved. But everything else about this show, and they do a good job of showing how Boba builds confidence in people with the Sand People, and now we're understanding why all these people like Mando goes, you don't need to pay me. I'm gonna help him. We can understand why the people are like that and why he is fit to rule over this area, if you will.
I was just gonna say real quick, as Jonathan reminded me of it, is that the ant droids that sort of look like they were there to just kind of serve R2-D2. It's that they're assembling what we think is a Jedi temple as a part of the academy or whatever, some type of building in that regard. I just love the fact that Din is going to this planet. He's going to pick up Grogu, or he thinks he's going to pick up Grogu and give him a gift, whatever. It's like a dad going to school, after school ends, is going to pick up his kid, and he just looks like he's looking around like he's confused. He doesn't like droids, right? So he's trying to have some type of dialogue with R2-D2, and R2-D2 just powers down, and then he's looking around like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do next. And then he's like, are these Jedis, are they going to help me? He's talking to the droids, and then they build him a bench, and he's looking at it do I sit down? Am I supposed to take a nap? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's just like a confused dad moment, and I just thought that was funny because I'm confused sometimes when I was a dad. When I still am. He's over there.
He's right there.
Yeah,
My father figure.
a father figure. Donovan, please.
All right, so this show it's my favorite show that's out right now because I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, Star Wars nerd. Every little thing I see in this show, I'm always like, oh, there's a part where they pull up the device in the previous episode where they're building the ship. They pulled up the device where they tried to stop the trash compactor in A New Hope. I recognized that piece when I saw it. I went, oh, that's fun. There's so many great things. This episode was incredible. I really loved the pacing of it, the moments that we got. We were introduced to Cad Bane right out of the beginning, and the way we're introduced to him in the live action version was exactly what it should have been, and I never even would have thought to make it look like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like a spaghetti western, having Cad Bane coming from the distance, from the horizon with a long lens. And you could just tell, like, true Star Wars fans who followed these shows, right when you saw the brimmed hat, you knew exactly who it was. And you were like, oh my God. My wife didn't know. And she was like, who's that? I go, just hang on, just wait. I'll let you know here in a second who he is and why he's significant.
Yeah, definitely a surreal moment. You like look and you're like, why now? I'm okay with this, but why now? Like we already got so much in this episode. You know, we see Ahsoka again, we see Luke, the Grogu, you see Mando, and you see R2D2. You know, that's great. Like we see R2. That's awesome. That's my favorite character in Star
the
Wars.
flashback.
Sorry,
you have Grogu
but I love
having like
R2D2,
his trauma flashback.
Yeah.
It won't be. And then at the very end, they're just like, yeah, and Cad Bane, and you're like, oh my God.
Sorry, he was at the end. That's right, not at the beginning.
But still.
But this is the reason why I think Cad Bane works in the way that he does, is because we've seen Boba get the muscle that he needs for his thing. He wants to take out the Pike Syndicate, and the Pikes go, well, if he's doing that, we have to have a proportional response to this. Who do we get? And someone probably goes, I know who we get, and he hates Boba more than anyone on the face of the earth, and he's almost killed him before.
Right.
It's Cad Bane, and they're like, all right, let's hire him.
Yeah.
And even then, he knows who Cobb Vance is, and he tells him, Cobb Vance. He goes, who are you? He goes, I'd be very careful how you're treading right now and what you're saying to me. And you're like, oh, this is going to be insane. I also don't think Cobb Vance is dead. I think he was shot in the shoulder, it looked like, or on the side.
Yeah.
His deputy's gone.
Yeah.
His deputy got lit up.
No doubt.
Yeah. Also, I think I saw a little tweet about it. I didn't think twice about it until I saw the tweet and then watched the clip. Cobb Vanth would have beat Bane to the draw, but his deputy went first.
He was watching the deputy.
Looked at his deputy. He was like, "Oh crap!" And then I think Cobb gets him there.
I think you're right about that.
I like that.
But I really loved this episode. I thought the CG on Luke's face was much better than it was at the end of season 2 of Mando.
A lot better.
They did a great job. There's even a couple of moments where I think, did Mark Hamill stand in and do some of...
No.
Because it said, and Mark Hamill in the credits.
So I think his voice is lent, but you know the younger of the Rebel star pilots who like pulled over Mando in the last episode?
Was he the stand-in?
He's the body double.
Okay, because there were moments where he did some real Mark Hamill faces.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy's a good actor. And it made me wonder, is Mark lending his face to it? Like they have him in a mocap in a studio and they're doing it. And
I think they're just going to keep giving him credit because it's his face.
No,
it's cool to see.
Sure.
It's his face.
It's a cool thing to see these guys being given like extra opportunities and just different jobs within your set. I mean, the times that we're in right now when they're making a show, they got to use guys for multiple things. The guy who is the stunt double for Tamara Morrison was actually the deputy. They got shot.
Okay.
So they're utilizing,
that's
just
fun.
like, here,
give stunt performers a
plug him in.
chance.
Yeah.
I love that.
Give the guy opportunities.
The moments with Luke and Grogu I thought were beautiful. I loved the him carrying him using the Force as he's walking.
Yeah,
I
that's
love that
adorable.
little detail. Like he can't walk, but I'll help him and then I'll teach him. He talks to him about, hey, I know somebody in my life who meant everything to me, and he looked just like you. His name was Master Yoda, and he talked in riddles. And you're like, oh, that's really sweet. And then we get this moment towards the end of the episode where we finally get the reveal of what Grogu's gift from Mando is, and it's chain link Beskar for him to wear. And he tells him, as you had said before, he said, hey, you can either take this Beskar or you could take Yoda's lightsaber. You have a choice here, but if you choose the Beskar, you can't be a Jedi.
I feel like the choice is pretty easy.
Yeah. You can't be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And if you do decide you'll be a Jedi, but you can't go with him because we can't have attachments. Like this is what the Jedi are. And again, this is a younger Luke, and we've seen him totally debunk the whole attachment thing in Last Jedi. Him talk about that, and
maybe this is where he learns that.
Yes, I do think that this could be a moment where he might learn that. And I think it's important to have that sort of grounded way of saying, like, hey, this is the choice that you have. You can't be two things. You can only be one thing because that's the way the universe works. That's how the Force works. That's how balance works.
How do you think that about his decision-making process? What direction do you think he goes?
Oh, it's interesting. Luke had a really interesting line. He says, what is a short time for you is a lifetime for others.
Right.
So you have to make this choice, and it's going to affect whoever you decide to go with because it's going to be a lifetime for them. But for you, it's going to be a fleeting moment. So make it count.
So
I don't know what Grogu's thought process. I think he leans towards Mando.
I can only speak for myself. I will be annoyed if Grogu picks the lightsaber because I don't think that's interesting. I think I talked about it last week. The departure from attachment is uninteresting, and it makes them seem cold and like, well, I got to sacrifice. I'm like, no, you can help defend the universe with Mando with Din, and I think Grogu is going to like. Luke thinks he's teaching him, which he says at one point. Now I think he's remembering stuff, not so much that I'm teaching him stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think Luke's going to learn something from Grogu, like I kind of said, about attachment is important and loving people and caring for people is what is like, that's that. Okay, I'm not going to get into it, but that's like what the Force should be, like caring for people.
That's what Qui-Gon said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting there, Frank. Sorry, we're not going to go
No,
too
no, no.
crazy.
Trying not to
No,
go
no,
too
you're good.
crazy.
You're good.
I think with the whole instilling like Grogu being like still attached to Mando is overall a fault for like just like this new character, this Jedi that we've been seeing, right? I want to see him with Mando, but I don't want him to be figuring out the Force with Mando. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Because we have so many rules about kind of how like the Force works, and we've already been kind of shown in these sequel movies how a person who kind of just like learns the Force kind of made a lot of people irritated over time, that I'm worried that if Grogu just goes with Mando and he's choosing to be a Mandalorian foundling, right, that he's going to be a Force-sensitive Mandalorian whatever foundling. I just don't know how that's going to work in framing for like a bigger show versus them just selling more merchandise.
See, and this is what I think is
like,
going to
I don't know
happen.
how you develop the character.
This is what I think
anymore.
is going to happen with Luke and Grogu. I do think Grogu will end up choosing the lightsaber and wanting to be a Jedi. Because, and this is from leaks on the internet, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. I'm putting Sonny's tinfoil hat on. Rather.
You're in the tinfoil chair.
I am. I saw a clip of someone saying, hey, this has been a great run here at Disney and with Star Wars. And one of the things was Star Wars Tales of a Jedi was one of the graphics that they had on the run of shows that was coming out. And that leaked. And it was like, and Disney easily like took that down. And like, you got to take that down. I'm like, no. So Tales of a Jedi, I think, is going to be Luke going around the galaxy with Grogu and finding other Jedi to try and get the Academy going again. The Tales of a Jedi.
Kind of like a Mighty Ducks kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Quack, quack, quack.
Like Grogu's going to stay
Game changers.
is going to stay with Luke, or that does make the most sense as far as like a plot device. And then he's going to be the first student, and then sometime later, Grogu leaves, or
You
he's
don't
not
even
gonna
know
be
how
there.
long he's
And
even been with Luke. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Right.
feels like a weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the one thing that I'm like, really excited for seeing. Like, no matter what happens, I think that Grogu and
Gerp.
Din are gonna somehow find each other back again. Whether that be later on in life or maybe right after this episode, he chooses to go with Mando. I mean, all of it makes sense for them to for him to go to both. I even talked about it last week. The little where R2 is supposed to sit, like that makes sense for Grogu to sit in that spot.
It's hollowed out because he doesn't want a droid in his
I'll say
ship.
this: I'm happier either way he goes. We're going to be in for entertainment, and it's going to be Star Wars, and it's going to be fun, and most of us are going to like it, and a few of us are going to crap on it, and that's just the way Star Wars
Paul,
works.
I wanted to ask you about the book of Boba Fett of it all. Is that, Cam said in the comments, and it's kind of funny, he says that Book of Boba Fett now with 90% less Boba Fett, that we're getting sort of a version of what they did that worked so well for them with Clone Wars, is that they jumped around and that we got different stories,
Keep things feeling fresh.
and it's thrown together.
Yeah.
That they're kind of bringing everybody back together. That this is the last episode that we're going to get. Do you like the fact that within this Mandalorian world that we're getting all of these shows that connectivity? Would it be okay with you for them to be jumping around with all these other shows and bringing in all these characters that they show Ahsoka doing something somewhere else when it's not even having direct connection?
As long as it's good,
to-
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's why everyone's like, oh, it's the book of... I don't care. Like, I if it's good, I
It doesn't
literally
bother
could
me.
not care less. Yeah.
I'll tell you why it bothers me when people go, it's the Book of Mando and it's the Book of this or Book of that, because it's just not accurate to what, like, when you read a book, right? You read a book. What's in the book? Chapters. And what are the names of these episodes?
Chapter, whatever, and
Chapter.
so on
They're
and so forth.
chapters.
Right.
Like Lord of the Rings, as wonderful as it is and as exciting as it is, would you want to follow Frodo and Sam the whole story and not know anything about
Those-
Aragorn,
Of course not.
Gandalf, or any of those things?
No.
And that's my point.
No, you want to read about Alf. You want to read about all the other guys.
And it
E.T.
always comes
and-
back to
yeah.
Alf. This is the
Yeah.
best. This is the best. But yeah, it's the book, book of Boba Fett. There's chapters that are in it, and sometimes you have to leave the main character, introduce other characters, see their development and how they connect
Yep.
all together. That's how storytelling is
Really
done.
quickly though, I was gonna. I want to get like a couple. You give
Such
me
a
like
jerk.
a sentence reaction or just a statement from you guys. Do you think that this could be? Do you still believe that there's going to be another season of Book of Boba Fett? Do you think there's going to be multiple Books of Boba Fett seasons?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Because once he gets the power of Tatooine and he's the Daimyo, what is he?
Perfect.
What do you do with that power now? Do you influence other systems? Do you work with other syndicates from other places?
Mm.
How
Does he go to Mandalore with Din?
does Bo-Katan show up at some point?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Does she
that-
show up next week?
Do we? That's what I'm saying. Do we see all these? Do we see 4 or 5 Mandalorians that are behind Boba? And everyone's like, "Oh, he's the real deal. This dude is for real. We should probably respect him, what he's doing." And I'm saying this, and I'm putting my house, my mortgage on this.
Uh-oh.
Boba Fett is a better fighter than Mandalorian. He would whoop Mando in a one-on-one fight, bar none.
Still?
Still,
Okay.
because he's got wisdom, he's got time, and he's killed Jedi before. How many
He's got
Jedi
back
has
to tank.
Mando killed?
None.
None.
No.
The guy's killed none, and he's been around for a long, long time. I think we're really going to see Boba Fett come into himself, the fighter that he is in this next episode, and we're gonna go, okay, yeah, no, he's tougher than Mandalorian.
Mm.
Variant. Tell
The-
me what you
the
think.
sentence?
Do you think there's going to be?
Or
Do you think there could be multiple seasons of the Book of Boba Fett, or are they just going to connect all these dots with other series?
I don't want there to be necessarily another season of just this show.
Okay.
I would be okay with it. Come and go. I think if they did another Boba Fett centered thing, maybe they call it something else, like the Palace of Boba Fett or something silly or
Right.
whatever, or they call it like the Boba Fett's reign
The
or
bodega.
King Boba
The
Fett or
bodega.
something
The
if he wants to
bodega of Boba Fett.
rename himself as Daimyo, whatever. I just don't know what the show has like done to be like framing for like a second season. Like I've enjoyed it and I think it's really cool, but like a second season would look so much different no matter what they've done because every episode has been just like either flashbacks or Tusken Raider scenes
That's
or
fair.
people with the environment. That if they did a second season, it would just be like watching this show all over again because there's nothing that's been
Okay.
like set up, right? There's not like an overall flow to each episode.
So you're saying that they
with
would
it.
have to go. They would have to go then to other worlds.
Yeah.
I'm
And I'd be
okay
I
okay
with
with
that.
guess,
it. It'd be
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
I'd love to see him go back to Camino.
Oh goodness. Well, Camino's gone now. Well, not gone, but you know they blew up the clones in Bad Batch.
No, yeah, I know they blew up the. They blew
Yeah,
them
it's
up.
gone,
Oh,
yeah.
it's gone. Oh,
So
never mind.
so,
then.
yeah.
I haven't watched all the Bad Batch. Sorry, guys.
Ah, those spoilers.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, they blow it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
It's
is
good.
fun. This is a fun show. This is a lot of fun.
it's awesome.
Paul.
Yeah, sentence. And
Or
I
two,
don't
you
mean
can do
this in
two.
a bad way. I don't care.
Okay, cool.
Just kind of like if they do a second season, cool. But I don't feel a need for it.
Hmm.
And he can kind of play like a role that Din has played in this series, where he's a guy that shows up in an episode of Ahsoka and an episode of whatever and who on. Yeah, I mean, if they do, great. If they don't, okay.
Does
I-
Cad Bane join Boba at some
I
point?
think he dies.
I think he dies in the next week's episode.
So do I. I think.
Well,
Boba
But there's
kills
also
him.
another part of me
Mm.
that thinks like, okay, they have the Wookiee bounty hunter, they have Mando, they have Fennec Shad.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all bounty hunters.
Right.
Boba's the bounty hunter, and he's alluded to. We worked for these guys for so many years and put up with their idiocracy and their stupidity, and we got paid for it. But we could be doing 10 times better than they would because we're 10 times smarter than they are.
Right.
Mm.
So seeing a band of bounty hunters be like at the top of the game is like, whoa. And I see I could see Cad Bane joining him at some point.
Hmm.
But I do think it's more likely that Boba will kill Cad by the end of
I
this
could
season.
see him joining them
Okay.
and then a little into the process turn on them.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
fun too, because it's very mafia-esque thing to do.
Sure.
And that's what this show is. It's a very Godfather mafia-esque type show in Star Wars.
That's interesting.
Well, with this show, we know that we're getting the finale next week. A lot of people are anticipating we're going to get some big battle sequence or scenes with tying in all these guys that they've been recruiting to fight the Pike syndicate. It looks like led now by Cad Bane. We're going to get some fireworks. I think it's going to be fun. I think it'd be a fun finale, but I think that because we've gotten so much different stuff in 5 and 6, I don't know necessarily if 7 is really going to be that like wow over the top.
Do you know what would be awesome is if Grogu decides he wants to go with Mando, and Luke's like, "All right, I'll take you to Tatooine. I used to live there. I know. I'll take you over there."
I don't want to see Luke save the day again.
Oh, I'm not saying save.
Oh, okay.
I'm not.
I thought that's where you were
I'm
going.
getting.
Sorry.
I'm getting somewhere. So he sees him and he says, "You know, I realize the help that you want to give your friends. I'll give you the lightsaber."
Ah, yeah, good.
Yeah. He's still got really small hands. He's like a third of Yoda.
Yeah.
Grogu. Like he's really small.
I
It'd
mean,
be cool.
Star Wars is very like, well, sometimes this is a thing, sometimes it's not a thing. Sometimes you have to build your own lightsaber. Sometimes you just inherit one. So I don't know how much they'll lean into that or just kind of forego that.
A lot of
'Cause-
after like the Republic or the fall of the Republic, it's definitely been like we found lightsabers or we found things to make lightsabers because the art has been lost.
yeah.
Like there were people
Yeah.
who were like that was their entire job was to teach the younglings and take them to like
I forget the name of the planet. I know.
They build the Starkiller base. They build it on the planet.
Oh.
Right, ruined everything. The Kyber crystals are on this
yeah,
planet.
yeah, it's in Fallen Order, which I was just talking about. He's wondering when the Fallen Order 2 is going to be coming out, which should be announced sometime soon.
Yeah, but just with that, I think it is interesting that if they just like hand him the lightsaber to be like, all right, is this just how? Are there only like 6 lightsabers left, or are we going to start seeing like more of like the saber crafting
Yeah.
or like the people like that's a show that would be like the ultimate fan service for me would be like a how it's made lightsabers. And it's like some guy who like lives in the realm of Star Wars, like narrating how to build a lightsaber,
Right.
like a nature specialist.
They
like,
kind
on,
of
like,
do
the
that
big
at
planet.
Disneyland.
Yeah,
The Disneyland thing
but-
is very cool.
I did it with my son when we took him out there
Yeah,
for his
it's
birthday,
fun.
and I was like, "This is
Dope.
awesome!"
Yeah.
And I find myself holding my son's lightsaber like in the dark in our house, like a weirdo. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing."
Having a good time. Fool.
the
Yeah,
I saw it. It is cool.
the 7th
Fighting
episode
stormtroopers.
of Visions, the Star Wars Visions, whatever.
Yeah, I know what
the
episode
one
you're
with
talking
all the
about, yeah.
Jedi Sith twist, whatever.
Yeah.
That one's good.
I thought that episode is just like so cool, and they just like focus on like there's this guy who learned how to build lightsabers. Like I think that would be just such a cool like show. Is like a guy building lightsabers,
I agree.
running from whoever. Yeah, sorry, but yeah.
No, that could be cool.
Yeah.
That could be a little backstory to whatever they're going to be doing, developing of these other shows that we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting more Star Wars content. We know this year
A lot more.
we're going to be getting an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and we know we're going to be getting Andor. I don't know what in order is coming out, what's coming out first, but
Are you guys excited for Mando? Yeah, of course we're excited for Mando. But are we excited for Cassian Andor? That
yeah.
show.
I am because I am
yeah.
excited to watch a show that's not like I've talked about this before. Tell me other stories in the Star Wars universe.
Mhm.
Tell me side stories. Tell me stories underneath the like. Not everything has to be so grandiose. It can be like a little side story, something that is like we're fighting against whatever they're fighting against in that show, and we're gonna see like kind of like the Fallen Order almost. Like we're seeing they're widening and broadening the universe instead of just circling us back to the same 5 or 6 characters every single time.
But
Yeah.
with Cassian Andor, we've been introduced to him before.
Yeah,
We've
but-
seen him in Rogue One. We know his demise. We know what happens to him. So wouldn't that be considered circling back?
That's not the same 5 characters I'm talking about though. Like
no, for
Luke, Han, and
Leia,
seeing
yeah,
where he
for sure.
comes from and all the people where he's at and
Jar
what
Jar.
they're doing can help extend the universe. And obviously he's our, hey, we know this guy, this is why we're going to watch, and then they can expand it from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm just not as interested in this story because I know what happens to him and I know what his purpose was in the galaxy, and that was to get the Death Star plans, and that's it. I have no interest in of him being a rebel spy for how many years and what he did to get to the point where he was.
Right,
at
because that's the achievement,
Rogue
right?
War. Yeah.
Because that's my only issue with it is like the biggest story that he could tell is Rogue One. That is
Bar
the
none.
biggest thing that he had to have done. So all these like things that are going to
Well,
be
and that-
using him
leading up to it is
Yeah.
just like,
I don't think it always has to be the biggest thing in the universe for it to be interesting.
No, it doesn't.
but he could be
Like
could also
how-
be
and the-
introducing other characters.
Yeah,
Sure.
Exactly.
That could be.
But-
And we know Luke's demise.
Yeah, no,
and we're still interested in what he's
I understand,
got to do
but
in
if you
between.
compare Luke to Cassian Andor as far as like what they mean to Star Wars, like it's much more different.
I think seeing like insurgents and spies and stuff for me is going to be really cool.
Sure.
And I think it has the opportunity to be the best show, if not from like a, hey, this is a Star Wars I know and love perspective, but from a, this is just a great story and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Kind of like Peacemaker. It's not anything in the grand scheme of things or anything like that. It's just a little side story about a character doing something somewhere, and it's really fun and good.
Right. Like the Peacemaker, especially being in just this huge universe. Like, and he's like a little guy.
Exactly.
In comparison. So that's where Andor can like really excel.
Yeah,
is the universe is huge and he's just a guy that we know the name of.
But I think what works with Peacemaker, though, and now we're in the Peacemaker talk.
We're in
Yeah.
Peacemaker
We're officially
talk.
Peacemaker, is the charisma of John Cena and what he brings to the character of Peacemaker. Peacemaker is entertaining. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He has funny dialogue. When he named off those 80 characters to what's his face,
That was ad-libbed.
That was first, yeah. I was laughing so hard. I was like, this is John Cena in a nutshell. That's like who he is. Like he gets pop
Joe
culture, understands it.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, dude, it was so good. So when I compare like a character like Cassian Andor and a character like Peacemaker, which one's more interesting to watch?
Right. But we haven't seen Andor, right?
But we have seen Andor.
But
A little bit.
Yeah, but not as him, the main character.
Yeah.
Rogue
Sure.
One, he's sharing the spotlight
But
with
when you
5 other people.
but when you saw Peacemaker
Seven, if you-
we saw
sorry.
Peacemaker for a little bit in Suicide Squad, and then it was announced he's going to get his own show. Everyone was excited for it, right?
Yeah.
I don't
I
necessarily.
don't know if that's true.
I was pretty juiced.
I thought a lot
There
of
was
people
a lot
were.
of people who are like, "Oh, this is what we're getting out of. This is what we're doing instead of the Snyderverse. This and that." There was a lot of people.
Yeah,
who
that's
were doing
because the
that. Yeah.
Snyderverse people are out of their minds. That's right. I said it. You're out of your minds. Get over it. It's not going to happen. So the difference between with Cassian Andor, he's I don't know. He's just very like.
Maybe this is going to be him, though, so many years
So was
back
Boba Fett though.
That's really good.
that he's just really,
Really
like,
good.
charismatic.
Good.
Maybe he's funny. And then something happened, and that's the end of the
I
show.
doubt he's
that makes
funny.
him no longer funny.
I doubt he's funny.
I don't know. Yeah,
Maybe
it's
they
probably
cast
not.
Will Ferrell and he's, his sidekick.
Can you imagine?
That would be.
And Jar Jar Binks, played by Will Ferrell.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what to say now. But yeah, guys, with regards to Peacemaker, we're up to date as far as you've seen the most recent episode.
Yes, I have seen the most recent episode.
Variant, he's seen it. I watched
I have
it
not
early
seen
this
it, but I'm
morning.
okay with you guys spoiling it for me.
What are your thoughts on the most recent? What are your thoughts in general on Peacemaker? We didn't really talk about it a whole lot last week. What are you thinking about this
It's-
show so far?
It's so good. It's so much
Yeah.
fun to watch, and the story, like where it's going, and kind of the arc of Peacemaker so far, and all the characters involved, and it's like there's good twists, not twists that feel contrived or anything like that. There's moments that happen, you go, "Oh, I kind of thought that, but I didn't think this would be a layer to that."
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think it's just been fun to watch and fun to see unfold. And when certain characters die, like in this last episode, I was like, that sucks. That was a nice, cool, good character trying to do the right thing, and something horrible happened to them. And now, kind of everyone is in a crap position, and crap's hitting the fan now. And our guys back home, the little group, whatever you want to call them, are gonna have to handle it. And Peacemaker still doesn't know everything, and they're keeping things from him. And this it's all gonna come to a climax at some point, and we're gonna see how Peacemaker reacts.
Only got 2 episodes left.
Only 2 episodes, which is
It's
very annoying, honestly.
it's so
Because this might be the most believable character progression that I've ever seen in, like, television.
In DC for sure.
And DC for sure, yeah. It is crazy how he starts as like, well, I'm Peacemaker, like he has this like big ego, and every episode when like something happens to him, or like the first episode's when he's escaping, right? Or is that the start of the second episode?
No,
no, first episode
The
was him
first
leaving
episode
the
is
hospital.
he's getting out of the hospital.
Well, out of the hospital. I mean, sorry, escaping like the hotel after he's.
That's
with
the first
girl.
episode.
That's the first episode.
Yeah. And he's like jumping down, and he's like falling down, and like keeps on like hurting himself, and then he like gets on the grass, and he's like, oh god, like you can't just jump off a building and not get hurt. Like every instance of him getting hurt and him like having to keep moving, or him like punching his side like because he's in pain, or it's just so believable. And at a certain point, I would be frustrated too.
Yeah.
If like every episode they're like, oh, you can't know this. Oh, we know all this new information. How do you know this information? oh, well, we just know it. And he's like, you're keeping things from me. And he says it like every episode, and the decline and then the amount of anger that he's like basically like growing is so believable. I love John Cena.
He's great.
And
WWE,
I
I love John Cena there, but this is like, this is where he was meant to be.
You can say the
This is
same
awesome.
for like most of the other characters. I'm gonna spoil a little bit. Lee Adebayo, who is, I think she's Waller's daughter. She's so good and she's so relatable, and you see everything she does, even when it's not the thing she should have done. It's all in an effort to do the right thing, and she's trying to make the right calls. And like when she goes home and talks to her girlfriend, she's like, "Dude, this is freaking hard." You're like, "Yeah, you're struggling. Like I see you going through it. I feel that." And then there's characters like Myrn, who there's like I don't want to spoil it for Donovan, but there's a little twist with that character.
I don't mind.
And there's a little twist with the character, and he's basically like, this sucked. I didn't want to have to do what I did, and I have to live with it every single day now, and I want to make a difference and not let what's about to happen because I know what we're doing to these people, and I don't want it to happen anymore.
I also think that they've solved, like, I would just have like a little note of like morals like in the show, and then immediately a character says something that's like the question that I've had about like the moral, so the main thing about Myrn, whatever spoiler, whatever. They say it at the end of it's been a week. We know Myrn's a butterfly.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's this quick little dialogue of her and Myrn, and Myrn's like, well, I don't know if you know this, but this guy that I've like taken over was a jerk. Like he killed people for like a job. He's killed so many people. He's done so many bad things. So like me repurposing him or using them as like a mech or whatever is like the only thing like to do to make him not a bad guy anymore.
That's actually not what he says. So you kind of got the gist, but he says something very profound at the end of it. He says this guy was a murderer and he was a horrible person, but even he could change. And now having taken over his body, I've robbed that from him.
Yeah.
He cannot change.
Wow.
I thought taking over his body would be okay. I'd be okay with it because he was a murderer. But no, I have robbed this human of any chance to ever change his life because I took it over, and I don't want the rest of the butterflies, my people, doing this to other people. And then you're like, okay, I understand why Myrn is in it. I understand why his butterfly is doing what it's doing. It's so good. It's so good.
It's really good storytelling, and you touched on John Cena, Peacemaker as a character. In the last couple of episodes, in particular, you start to see like these layers being kind of peeled back on him. Is that
He's like an onion, like Shrek.
The ego and the over he's onion. He's an onion man. The ego and the extra super macho
bravado.
It's like it's just an act.
Mhm.
And the fact that he's actually pretty sensitive, and that he starts to show like his human, like his more relatability to everyone, that he's trying to connect and belong. It's like even that when he has the moment in this episode with Harcourt, who she customizes
P90
the P90 for him,
cool.
and she puts his little Peacemaker, the
Dove of Peace,
the Dove of Peace on the gun, and you're thinking that he's gonna say something like kind of inappropriate or whatever, and then he just says like, hey, I appreciate that. Like he's genuinely thanking her for that, but you wouldn't see him do that in like the second episode. He probably would have said, all right, now I got two penises,
What I think,
or something like that.
And I think that lends credence to the kind of writer that James Gunn is.
Yeah.
Because when you have characters that we really love, and again, Substance is fun. We get to see them do all the great things, all the great action. That's fun. But when it comes down to it, like, we want to get to know these characters. We want to know to get their thought process. So, like, what makes them tick? What are their mannerisms? What makes them do? What's their motivation? Why are they doing this? And James Gunn does an excellent job in giving us motivation.
He really does.
For character. Like, even when you watch the Guardian movies, like, even what he's done with those movies,
I was just gonna say something.
No one knew who the Guardians was.
Yep.
And if you did, you're lying. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I
Right.
used to read the Guard. No, you didn't.
Right.
No, you didn't. I can tell you that the people here at this table didn't.
He made you care about them.
Right. He made you care about that and made me go, okay, maybe I should start reading Guardians comics.
Yeah.
Like, where do I start? And then you go to your local comic book shop, which you should do, and ask your local comic book comic book provider, like, where's a good place to start? Because that's exactly what I did. And I ended up falling in love with these guys. But that's a credit to James Gunn. And now I want to read everything about Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
It does such a good job. He makes
Something Snyder can't do.
Don't get me started. So he does a great job of. The show is ridiculous,
Yo, no doubt.
Yeah.
but yet more grounded than in most things I watch. Makes more sense and is more understandable and relatable. From like he's in a hard spot, he's come out of it, and he's being expected to still be this person he was before. But he's like, I don't know if I am that anymore or even want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
as ludicrous as the show can be sometimes and over the top, you understand that trouble, that trait that he's going through, because you're like, although it may not be me killing people, it's me like, I used to do this and I used to do it all the time. People expect me to do it and people expect me to be good at it. I don't really know if I want to do it anymore. And that's okay. And it's okay to change. And that's what this show, I think, has been mainly about.
I think one of those cool things about the movie, Paul, is that they with the movies with Guardians, and then what he did with Suicide Squad, and now what he's done with Peacemaker, he has some type of secret DC project. He says there's another DC project. We don't know if it's a series or a film. It could be something spinning out of this
Probably.
Peacemaker series
I've heard-
into
that's what I've
another
heard.
series. But we don't know what it's going to be. And it's cool that James Gunn, his superhero sort of resume has evolved as he's gone along with Guardians. He went like way over the top with the second Guardians. And then the Suicide Squad was
Bananas.
it was
so much fun.
It was crazy. And then you've seen this series in Peacemaker has gone. It's been out of control. Every episode's been out of control. And then now you just wonder if it's just going to be like he's one-upping himself
Right.
with the next Guardians movie.
You just, like I said, he makes you care about characters. Like Suicide Squad, he made you care about Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
Polka Dot Man? You mean to tell me I'm caring about Polka Dot Man right now? And yes, as funny and as silly as it was with him and his mom and that whole thing, and like everybody looks like his mom,
Right.
you still went, oh, Polka Dot Man. Oh, he's feeling this sort of thing. So James Gunn can continue to write anything as far as I'm concerned, because he's got me hooked on everything
I
that
like
I've
him
ever watched.
involving
from him.
all these actors like over and over again too.
Yeah.
I mean, you think that it would be kind of a weird feeling to see the actors, used over. It's like, no, I mean, I like it. The girl that plays Mantis makes a cameo in the nightclub in the Suicide Squad.
She's one of the dancers.
Sylvester Stallone is the voice of King Shark, and he is a member of the original Guardians.
Yeah, he's in the Ravagers.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of not Guardians, Suicide Squad, but Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, and he's in both. But I'm pretty sure Steve Agee, Diebeard, is the guy who does the motion capture for King Shark.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And Sylvester Stallone does the voice, but that guy, the heavyset dude with the beard,
Yeah.
is the mocap for King Shark.
And
And
This movie's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
That was a fun watch.
And the
with you
show's
guys.
great too.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, watch Peacemaker. What are you guys waiting for? It's really good.
It's so
it is
good.
super over the top though, and
Yeah,
extremely
and
violent.
you know what? It's not for everybody. It is a great and fun story, and it pulls your heartstrings, but it's a little over the top, and some people go, you know what?
That's James Gunn, though.
I don't need this.
That's James Gunn.
I-
Watch
I-
Slither.
yeah, I reckon. No
Right.
kidding. That's
Super.
Wow.
Yeah, and Super.
I
Oh my
recommended to a buddy. I said you should watch Peacemaker, and then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this guy watches like Disney Plus shows with his kid, and I was thinking afterwards. I said, you didn't watch that with your son, did you? He's like, oh no. I'm like, all right, cool.
Good.
It's like, oops.
Yeah, that's
I was like,
no.
I hope I didn't make that suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Like I
but
watched it with mine, and well, he's never the same.
They're loving it. They're not sleeping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they keep knocking on our door. Can I come in? Anyway,
Wow.
One thing we do know with regards to Peacemaker is that it's a group of guys that are certainly not angels. And speaking of angels, earlier this week the Halo trailer dropped.
Somehow that was your best and worst segue all at the
Right.
same time.
It was
That was amazing.
simultaneously
I could like see you working. your
Right
way
when he
through
said
it.
angels, I went, oh, here he goes.
for Paramount Plus.
Yes.
This is going to be like a show that they're banking pretty heavy on. They got Yellowstone and the spin-off of that, and this looks like something that they're going to try to build something around here. didn't really know what to think when I saw the trailer. But we're gonna take a look at the first trailer. I think it's coming out in March, I believe.
March is going to be a month, huh?
Oh,
We're getting
nice.
shut off.
And the stream is down. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go.
Here we go.
Oh, that was great.
I hate those.
The pre-trailer trailer.
The teaser to the trailer.
You,
Hey.
humanity's best weapon. Master Chief, huh?
The Master Chief was enhanced and trained for one purpose: to win this war. He and the other Spartans are our only effective weapons against the Covenant. He is lethal, upgradable, and most importantly,
Dude.
controllable.
Covenant forces appear to be excavating some kind of object. When I touched the object, I felt something. I felt different. What they did to us makes you numb.
And you just decided to help me. Why would a Spartan do that?
What does one do with a superhuman you're not sure you can trust?
You give him a girl.
Keys.
Chief. I'm Cortana.
Yeah. See?
Master Chief recovered something.
Sacred ring. Halo.
Dude.
Humans. Surrender to the Covenant.
Cortana, I'm gonna need you now. Find the Halo. Win the war.
Yeah. It's so sick.
I am like super conflicted because I think it looks really cool. I think Master Chief looks really good. But like I've played all the Halo games. I love them. And I'm not really sure where this is supposed to be set.
Right.
Because kind of the thing about Master Chief is not only is he the best Spartan and the only Spartan, well, there's like, it trickles in a couple times. They're like, oh, actually, this guy's still alive. But for the most part, at least through the original trilogy, he's the only Spartan 2 that has survived after the fall of Reach and things like that. And so he is humanity's last hope. That's what he is
Right.
all the time because he is the only Spartan. And the Covenant, he is a myth among the Covenant. And when they see him on the battlefield, a lot of them run in fear because of how powerful and terrifying he is. And he's like, I think it's cool to see him lead a group of Spartans, but also I think like one of the things that I love about Master Chief is he don't need nobody else.
No, he's a unit.
He is going to take out
Favorite word.
a army of dudes by himself. And that's what makes him so potent and so scary. And it was cool to see General Keyes, who is
very cool.
It looked I don't know if it's the same guy who they modeled him after for the game or
I know,
whatever,
it
but
looked
it looks
exactly-
exactly the same.
And Cortana, to me, Cortana looked the same as well, except for her not being blue.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that kind of threw me off, but it's the same actress
Right.
who did the mocap and the voice for all the Halo
Which
stuff,
is awesome. I think that is so
And
great.
it is not the same. I don't even have to see it. It's definitely not the same voice actor for Master Chief. I'm like, I would be shocked if you told me that was the same guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I
No.
think is it John, what's his name?
Johnny
John DiMaggio?
Knoxville.
John DiMaggio?
Is that the guy's name?
Voice of Bender?
No. Yes. Because he
Is the
voiced.
voice of Master Chief?
I think he's Master
That's
Chief. He's
awesome.
definitely Marcus in Gears of War.
Let's
I
take a
can't
look.
remember if he's
If
also.
he's doing Bender as Master Chief.
I thought
Right.
it was the voice of Snake. I thought that was the guy who did.
I'm not sure,
Marcus.
but it definitely didn't sound like the same voice to me, which is kind of like, why not just use the same voice? Because his voice is pretty epic. But maybe it's just like the live action and the actual way of recording. It sounds different, but it would be all ADR'd anyways because he's got a helmet on.
There are 5 different actors who play the voice of Master
Who
Chief.
is the one from like Halo 3?
Halo 3. Let me see here.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
But no, I'll keep. And there's the Arbiter in the trailer, and he's already got his.
Okay, so the
golden-
guy who's doing the voice of Master Chief in the Halo series is the original Master
Okay,
Chief.
all right, I stand corrected.
His name is Pablo Schreiber.
Okay,
Oh.
I stand corrected then. I think I've played Halo 3 the most, and that's the voice like that I like identify Master Chief as, and maybe that's why it sounded different to me. But still, it looks cool, but also I don't like, because like that's the core element of the story, and that's why I think it's a weird thing to it's a hard thing to adapt, because the fun of the game is you are this unstoppable, massive like unit of a human being who has kind of like, they never really go into his origin. And the thing where like you can control his power levels, I don't know where that's from. Like that's not anything that
they're definitely reestablishing a universe, because the amount of people that have played Halo, and I think the amount of people that have played it and paid attention to the lore is like a third of the people who played it and just played it
doubt,
for fun.
I was just about to go into lore about what I think we're going to see in this show.
Go ahead.
Like the books and whatnot.
Yeah, so who created the Halo rings? It's not the Covenant. It's the Forerunners.
Yeah.
The Forerunners created it. The Covenant found it, and they used it to their advantage. But there was a war between the precursors and the Forerunners.
Yep.
And the precursors were sent and banished and pretty much sent into dust, essentially, and they became the Flood.
Right.
Yes.
So I do think that there's a moment in the show
Was
where
that the
see,
Flood? I wasn't sure.
It looks like the Flood, because it looks like...
I mean, it's like green. It was like a green thing, like bright green.
Yeah, they're green.
Are they?
Flood is
I haven't
green.
played Halo 1 or
Like
2
bright green.
for like ever.
Wait, what did you say?
He's like, yeah, but the thing looked green.
Like a green, like tentacle things.
Yeah, that's the Flood, man.
The Flood is like a brownish kind of green.
Really?
They're
I
like,
always
I
thought
thought they
they
were
were
like
green.
brownish, like dark, like
Oh, I always thought they were
dark.
kinda green.
They're like ooey and like ink looking. I thought. No, that's okay.
I just always remembered them being
I always
green.
thought they were
I
brown.
played ODST the most, which is
That's
not the best.
Weird.
But so there's this great lore that happens. So I think that guy that we see with the bald head and he's got the thing, I think that's a Forerunner.
I thought that was supposed to be Chief.
Oh.
I thought that was him without his armor on.
Oh no, the one who was like he
Bent
looked
over
like a
and
little
had the
kid.
weird like
No. It
okay.
looked like something from like Jupiter Ascending. Like it's
Oh,
like,
the big collar.
yeah, with the big collar. I think that's
okay.
a Forerunner.
Okay.
Talking about that, and I think the Covenant are. I think we're going to get a bunch of different things in this. It may be
sounds
too
like
much too
that's
fast.
what I was about to say.
If they contain it, it would be wonderful. Again, we've only seen this.
Yeah.
I will say, but what we saw, I think Frank, you said you were worried that it looks like a CW show.
It does kind of look like that to me. I don't know pretty much anything about Halo.
Gotcha.
Played the game probably 3 times.
Mhm.
I don't really know anything about it. It looks, kind of interesting, like something sci-fi. Would I be convinced to subscribe to Paramount Plus to watch the show?
I have Paramount Plus already.
No,
because of my mother, so I'm
I
like-
wouldn't. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
think
would just get your guys' reaction from what you saw.
the show looks fun, and the thing that convinced me the most is when he was fighting the 2 Covenant with the swords,
Yeah.
and he was just ducking all of them, and I was like, oh, see, now this is what we've always wanted to see, a live action Halo,
Yeah.
where he's just kicking the tar out of Covenant guys,
Right.
and the scale that they did was perfect. The
Ships
Covenant
look
are
awesome.
huge. The ships look great. Even like, I think this is a pre-Halo Reach that we're going to see, because if you remember in Halo Reach, we get to see the creator.
Reaches before
The
Halo.
events of Halo. Yeah.
Halo.
Uh-huh.
So my question
Oh, are you
is,
saying they're just gonna flip it?
No, I'm saying that this is like right before Reach.
Oh, okay.
All
only
this stuff that's
thing-
happening is right before Reach, because
Right.
don't we see the creator of the Spartans in Reach and in Halo, I think either 3 or 4?
Definitely not 3.
Then it's got to be 4 then.
Yeah.
Or Reach. I don't remember, but I know that there's a part where we get to see the creation of who Master Chief is, and we see his creator, and it's that blonde lady.
Mm-hmm.
We see it in one of the games. I
think
forget.
it is.
That's right.
It might be 5
Yeah, it might
with
be
Locke
5.
and stuff like that.
So that's my whole thing. I think we're going to see that
That game's not great.
beforehand, and even her whole like, hey, these are what the Spartans are made for. Hey, the Spartans found something. Go look for it.
So the
meanwhile,
only
Master
thing-
Chief, do this what we're looking for. So that's what I think it's going to
That confuses me as to where we're at on the timeline is not only the presence of other Spartans, but the Arbiter is in that trailer. That's
Right.
the Arbiter. He's in the gold armor. That's what he gets put in after he gets casted out of the Covenant and kind of takes control of his own little thing.
be. Different Arbiter, perhaps.
But I mean, is that what we want to see?
No, also I think with this is we're under the lens of like Marvel and like DC. We're thinking that they're just gonna have to follow like that framework of established lore. That this show may or may not just like, hey, this is a Halo thing. We're gonna pull things from our overall property.
That never
but
works
it's
out well.
never gonna be in the exact timeline because the amount of fans that are gonna be disappointed is so minuscule. With
I don't know.
with the Halo people,
I think
I think they're going to try to push
risky
this.
gamble.
I know, but like The Expanse, I think is a good example. The amount of people that were heavily invested with like
I don't even know
what
what that
The
is.
Expanse is. It's on Prime now.
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
whatever.
It was a sci-fi show, right? Or
It's a big sci-fi show that was like canceled like twice and then had to be brought back, whatever. That they're just going to try to make a cool action sci-fi show for everyone using overall characters of the property, and maybe we don't have to care exactly where it falls into like the big timeline
I care.
of like Halo
Yeah, so do
Wars,
I.
you know, and all these other spin-off games.
I want to
right?
see the
know.
story that I grew up enjoying and loving transferred to the screen, and
Yeah.
So I wonder like what it is that studios are thinking when they take these beloved franchises and they're like, oh, we're gonna do an Assassin's Creed movie, but it's gonna be like total, like the lore and everything about it is gonna be different, and we're gonna do weird things with it and make like the least interesting part of the games a huge part of the movie.
Okay.
And I just don't understand why, like in Immortal Kombat, why did we need the main character to be somebody who wasn't even a character in the game? Like why are they so hesitant to just adapt the video games as the story? Like some of the best video game movies that I've seen, the Tomb Raider movies are good. The Tomb Raider movies are not the Angelina Jolie ones. The more
The other
recent
one.
ones.
Yeah. I was gonna say, well, those
They're
Angelina Jolie ones are rough.
it's just the Tomb Raider video game. It's just that story, and that's why I'm kind of excited for Uncharted. I've never really played the game, but it looks like it's just an adaptation of what people love from those video games.
Well, I was just about to say that they're not going to follow anything, and they're derailing a lot of the story for this so far. Like what we've seen from the trailer, a lot of like the story is kind of like coin flip up in the air. The main thing in the trailer is he says Drake's like, oh yeah, you know Sam, my brother. In the games, he hasn't talked to his brother for like 20 years.
Okay.
His brother just like pieced out. So like already just in the trailer, they're like, new story, deal with it. So Halo,
I hate that.
and it could just be a new thing. And the Tom Holland Uncharted might be awesome. I love the Uncharted games, but like that IP is really open. It doesn't matter. You know, just tell a new story with the characters we like. I don't know.
I think that they're going to end this first season of Halo with them going, we found it. We found the ring.
Okay.
Wow. Hopefully it's
Master
good enough
Chief.
to get a second season.
Master Chief, we need you to go down there and get it. Everyone, every Spartan that we sent is dead. You're
Yeah.
the only one left. You have to stop this thing. And then we're going to see Halo 1 happen in season 2.
Yes, I think that's the best.
Which is what I would
agree.
love.
Last thing I want to say is hi. He said the name and it reminded me. Steve Downs is the voice of Master Chief.
there you go.
Steve
Oh, okay.
Downs. And that's the guy, that's the voice that we all know and love, and that's who it is. And that's the voice that everyone knows. That's the voice when you hear, you think it's like I can't think of another character off the top of my head, but you hear that voice and you go, that's Master Chief. Like I could pick that out of a crowd. And that's why I knew it wasn't the voice that like, and maybe the thing you read was a little off, but I feel like
Probably.
it's always been Steve Downs, and that it's like Steve Downs is the Master Chief is what Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. And that's why like I was like, I know that's not his voice. So shout out to Hi for pulling that little
Thanks, buddy.
tidbit. Yeah.
And I don't know what I read on the Google.
Real
the
quick,
Google webs.
couple news and notes we wanted to go over. We know now that there's going to be a Mortal Kombat sequel in development.
Yes.
Dakota Johnson has been cast to play Madam Web in a Sony Spider-Verse
Shout out 50 Shades
film.
of Grey.
Listen, I don't have any interest in seeing the majority of these films. They can keep delaying Morbius all they want. I'm really not going to watch it.
Cancel
I
it.
don't.
It's okay.
I don't care.
Cut it off.
Do Craven. I'd be
yeah.
interested.
By the time it comes out, Craven will probably be done. So we could
Yeah.
probably just, skip
Well,
right
yeah.
over to see Craven.
We didn't even get to see Michael Keaton in No Way Home. Like,
No,
even though
he
he was like
wasn't.
teased
Right.
throughout. Like, yeah, it's this. Oh, man.
And it's been greenlit. We're talking about CW shows. Gotham Knights. That's going to be a show. It's going to be It's supposed to be a game that comes out. It's like built off the same creators as was Rocksteady. That did
Yeah,
the,
they did the Arkham
It's
series.
in the
games.
Arkham universe.
They're
yeah.
going to be doing a Gotham Knights game.
Oh, actually, no.
And now there's going to be a Gotham Knights show on CW. You wonder where they're going to get these actors and actresses, if there's going to just be
It's like they
any
crapped.
Titans
It's like they
people.
crapped in their hand and covered it in cat poop to make it look better.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about
That's a
that,
good metaphor. Okay, cool. Guys,
Wow.
It's like a
We're out
dream
of
within
time.
a dream, man.
we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, spending a little time with us, and we're looking forward to next week. We're going to have the finale to talk about the book of Boba Fett / Mando / Luke Skywalker and Grogu.
Yeah. Hey, what are you guys reading right now? I only say this because he's a friend of our show.
Mhm.
He's been on a couple times, but Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on the newest issue of Alien is excellent.
I have
It is-
not.
Haven't read it yet.
It is.
I'm current with Action Comics. I haven't
It's
read Alien.
so.
I haven't
Good.
picked up in like 2 weeks on a little.
Oh,
bit
boy.
high. Yeah, but I mean, you know.
That should be a fun day.
I heard it's good. Yeah, I heard it's good.
It's very good.
All right, cool.
It's it's probably my favorite run in Marvel right now.
I'm gonna get into it. I've got I've got a stack of books to
I
read,
know.
so it's just all the time. It's just
My
like
God.
tons of stuff to read to catch up on. We hope that you guys take the time to consider adding us to your pull box, and we are looking forward to seeing you guys next week. We're gonna spend time with you and spend time harassing each other
Yes.
as well. Sonny, get well soon. We
Get
hope
better,
to see you
buddy.
over here next week, and we love you guys.
Yeah.
Hope you have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah, that one.